When we see that you have a lot of money in cash, a lot of times the first thought is, well, I know I need a rainy day fund, an emergency fund. So you take a chunk of that, set that aside and say, great, this is for car repairs, unexpected house repairs, someone's sick, someone's out of work. Then typically someone would look and say, well, I have a vacation coming up, so let me put some of that money aside for a vacation. That can be very helpful too. And then there's still some money left over. So if you're in that position where you say, wait a second, I'm already putting money away toward retirement or maybe my kids' college, maybe I'm maxing out some of these opportunities, but I still have this problem that there is extra money available at the end of the day, that is typically a telltale sign that you're ready for a financial advisor and to level up, because that's where we can help you optimize those dollars. So if you're at this stage in your life that you feel like you're following all the tried and true methods, you're putting money away from retirement, maybe you're putting money away for your kids' college, you have an emergency fund built, you're doing all of those basic things, and then you're wondering what comes next. I have this stash of cash that goes beyond my emergency fund, and now I'm wondering what is the best thing to do with that money and where's the best place to put it. And that's typically how you know it's time to meet with a financial advisor, because that's the exact moment that you want to be looking deeper and understanding more about your long-term goals, their timeline, your risk tolerance, so that you can get that money in the best place for your future. My job is to be able to provide you with the information necessary to make the decision of what do I want to do with that extra money. And that's where the value of an advisor can come in, is we can play that role and say, hey, if you put this money toward retirement, this is what it does for your long-term vision of when you retire. If you put your money toward college, this is what it does for that vision you have of sending your child or children to school. And if you decide to spend this money and enjoy your life in the now, this is what you can anticipate the impact of that is. And so it's not so much that we're in the decision-making role. It's actually quite the opposite. Your advisor provides you the choices, and then you make the decision. So many of my clients in reality reference like getting permission and appreciate the directive nature of what we do. But I want to make it really, really clear that we're not making the decision, that's happening for them. They're the ultimate decision maker. So the first step is to understand your actual cash flow. So money coming in, money going out on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And the reason why that's important is for some people, they have extra cash on the side, but throughout the month, they're dipping into it, paying themselves back, dipping into it, paying themselves back. So that's not the type of extra cash I'm talking about in this situation. I'm talking about when you have a stash of cash that's sitting there, goes untouched, and is consistently growing. That's the amount that we're talking about today. The next question that I would ask you is to tell me a little bit about what's coming up for you in the next 1 to 2 years. So for some people, they would start to list off some larger lump sum purchases. Maybe you have to replace a car. Maybe you're starting the cost of another child in daycare. Maybe you have a house purchase that you're trying to make. So these are the type of expenses that are in a short term that we do want to keep extra cash around for. So step 3 is an advisor is not going to make the decision in a bubble. Advisor is going to look at that decision and say, well, in order to tell you whether we want to put more money toward retirement or put more money towards the kids' school, or say you're free to spend this discretionary dollars based off of your goals, that advisor would want to have a long-term vision, which is why it's an important phase to be able to understand your big picture and build out a financial plan. One consistent theme that we'll see with people who have started to save for retirement at a young age, maybe they've done well, they've maxed out some accounts, is they work under the assumption that any extra dollars should also go toward retirement. And it's not until you review a financial plan and you say, well, if we keep all those assumptions the same, this is what it looks like at your retirement. And it's good news to be able to retire early or maybe to be overfunded, but often we'll see that someone is restricting themselves with what their options are right now because they have this predetermined thought that they're not on track yet for what it means for the retirement they're looking to have. It's also really valuable when you're looking to buy a house to be able to understand how today's home purchase impacts your financial future. So we're going to run a projection and say, this is the range of home purchases that you've talked to us about. And this is the impact of the range of those home purchases and how it impacts the college that you want to send your kids to. You know, you might have a 2-year-old, but we can look at that and say, if you buy this house and you're asking us questions about your 2-year-old's college, this is the impact of the likelihood of being able to afford what you have said, you know, is important to you. There was a client that I sat down with last year, and they were taking any extra dollars that they had and they were funding their retirement, in addition to the retirement savings that they were already doing. And they had heard their whole life, save often, save early, and that's what they were doing. And when we ran their financial plan, what we found was that they were more than on track for retirement. They actually were going to be hyperfunded way ahead of schedule. And they were at a phase of life where they had 3 young kids and they were not allowing themselves to be able to enjoy the money that was flowing through their hands. They were restricting their vacations. They were very careful about the schools their kids attended. And through this conversation, they identified that their values were the education of their children. And they made the decision to switch from public school to private school because they understood that this was an option available to them. They finally had an understanding of how their decisions today were impacting their long-term vision.